Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. We are at 3 Youth event. Our next speaker number 11 is Arghya Mukherjee. Arghya is the head of analytics and data science at Prudential PLC. He's picking up a theme which is AI practice in global capability center. It's a very interesting theme in terms of how exactly AI practices should be set up in global capability center. Before he talks about his theme, uh, let me introduce Arga. Arga is head of analytics and data science at Prudential PLC and has led strategic transformation and growth led pursuits through data analytics and AI across various organizations, which includes WNS, Fractal, and L&T Infotech. Over to you, Arga.
Hi, this is Arghya Mukherjee, and I lead the analytics and data science function for Prudential. So I will like to speak about how to set up the data science and analytics practice for captives. So it's a combination. So this can be applied to any startups or any product analytics functions. Okay. So here in Prudential, we have set up the analytics and data science practice from scratch, and it is for an like for example app known as Pulse. And what we did was that the most important part is that we get a B2C data of, for example, petabytes of data that we receive from the different users, and those transactions are online, so it's real time. So the first thing that I am pretty important to do is to understand the data from the core. Okay, so the problem that we solved is that we so many users activities are being done. The most important part is how to create a real time insights, because those activities are happening inside an app. So we have created a data taxonomy for that. Understand the user journey, understand the important pain points of where the journey is getting broken, define the KPIs. That's pretty important. So what type of KPIs that we wanted to uh, like for example measure. So we have created a 360-degree health check for that app. And then for example how you design the data engineering part, where you will able to clean the data, and for example you should get like the make sense of the data in real time. So here we have created the entire like stacks in Azure ecosystem, but there are series of automations has gone in where we have cleaned the data, because the data is mostly unstructured. How you define that the user journey, so what are the important KPIs, and then wants to have a lot of real time dashboards that will be like for example viewed by the c source csec people to make sense of the data. Next part is that after you set up the data engineering functions as well as the analytics functions, the next part is that how to enable the different part of the organization to use the data, right? So that's a pretty important part. So the next thing is that whether you wanted to keep the analytics function as a centralized functions where everything is happening uh, around the COE, or you wanted to stream the data like to the different business units, right? That's the second part of it. And the third very important part is after you like see the matrix, how you wanted to take a actionable insights to it, right? So the one of the things that we did it was that for any actionable insights that we are getting, we're done a A/B testing to provide the interventions and see that w- that those interventions are working fine or not. And the last part is the AI or a data science. So after you define the matrix and you know that for example where the app so whatever metrics are performing well, which are not, then you define a data science use cases that will move the matrix from point 1 to point B. So for example you wanted to improve the monthly active users, then you will have a recommendation engine, next best actions, right? For example you want to decrease a customer acquisition cost, then you build a like for example propensity model. You build something like a next best actions, you wanted to improve the customer experience, then you build a like for example search engine recommendations. So everything should be driven down by the key matrix that you are going to measure. So your data engineering, analytics, and data science work in hand to hand or in unison. And the last part, very important part, is data governance, allowing the different part of the organization to take important business decisions through data. And then there should be a feedback loop where the people from the different parts of the organization can see the data and they can easily access the data. So here your self-serving BI capability is pretty important, where anybody of the organization has access to the data. So that is a data democratization. The data is open to all. I think there you will create a kind of a data driven organization. So these are the pretty important part, and it takes years after years to build that, right? So that's pretty important.
Thanks, Argo, for articulating a very keen segment, which is about how to set up a AI practice in GCCs. Over the last few years, GCCs have actually become a very central force for very, I would say, large, medium, even small organizations. And it's not just an extension of the parent organization, it's also the state of the art capabilities, solutions, and the best practices what they're bringing to the table. By the way, for just to augment the knowledge, India has about 1,400 GCCs employing about 1.4 million professionals and contribute close to about 2% of our GDP. So that's a phenomenal, I would say, segment which cannot be ignored. Thank you so much, Argo, for your uh, brief talk. Very, very, I would say, insightful. Ladies and gentlemen, we will move down to the next segment just to talk about 3R Youth event. This event is being watched by 2150 participants at the current time and is also getting streamed live in about 10 different academic institutions across India.